Alright, so this is the third time trying to go live tonight, so hopefully things go well. So I apologize for all the technical issues that we've been having, and it looks like they're continuing. Hi, Dylanzilla, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you can see me. Ah, man, okay. Yeah. So hopefully things go well. This is the third time kind of setting up the stream. I do apologize if things seem a little bit awkward, but yeah, music in the background is all royalty free. And if you enjoyed today's content, it might all of the screw ups that I've had so far, be sure to smash that like button and do all the self-promotion things, because so far this has been a little bit frustrating to say the very least. We've had one stream just kind of cut out for some reason, and then the other one, basically, I think there was a slight issue with my mobile devices not communicating properly, where I entered a live stream, but it wasn't necessarily the one that I had scheduled. And then I made another one, and that one seemingly froze up right away. So yeah, hopefully everything works this time, because I'm a little tired of trying again. So yes, hello Dylanzilla. I think everything is working at least a little better this time. So what we'll continue doing, or try to do, is essentially doing some animation with Godzilla -1 here. I admit I'm a little sidetracked from all the technical problems that I've had, so we'll just kind of jump right into it. At the beginning there, I had a little bit of setup to do, where I had to just make sure that all my lights and stages were basically set. So obviously everything's kind of ready to go, and unfortunately I'm now stuck in this vertical stance, but apparently that seems to be the favorite amongst my mobile devices, because anytime I try something else, we seem to be having issues. So, hello Kenneth again. Hopefully things are working this time. Are we ready for round 3? Yeah, hopefully. Third time's the charm, right? Like, really, just, I don't even know what exactly, I mean, I think the first one, personally, that was my fault. I'll admit that. Hi, Holly girl. I'm pretty sure what I did is basically just kind of went live without going into the live that I initially wanted to, and then just things went really haywire from there, and I don't know why. And then I tried setting up another one and things froze. So yeah, we're here again. So hopefully it works. If you come Jakezilla. Well, Jakezilla, is that better? King of the monsters. I guess I could just refer. Hi, Holly. Of course, my dog's being extremely pesty off screen. You know, I get brownie points if you're on here. Hey, you gonna come say hi? Of course, so you can kind of see the slight disaster zone in the background. As you can see, we got some props there. That's all the smoke for the Godzillas. Then got some laptop stuff over there. Kind of my mobile stop motion station. Then we got the anti-gravity table over there as well. Number 1, thanks for popping by. And Godzilla 2023. Hopefully things work really well. I think we're okay at this point in time, guys. So yeah, in spite of all the issues, I appreciate your guys' support and your patience. So we'll get on with the show at this point. Not exactly the setup I personally wanted, but we'll fake it till we make it, as I always kind of like to say. So luckily, some of you tuned in for the setup, which is now kind of all done. We just kind of now have to get the camera essentially ready. So I got to open up my stop motion studio app here again, which is the one I use for all of my current animations. And just make sure my cell phone is firmly in the tripod. So I'll kind of get maybe a little bit better of a focus on what I'm going to be working on here. And, well, luckily for you guys, I think the third time is definitely the charm, because you can actually get a better lighting scenario for what I'm working on. So you can actually see Godzilla -1 this time. What's the spiky dinosaur looking on the back? Spiky, I'm not sure. Are you referring to Godzilla there? There is Doug. Doug was here earlier, but he's kind of in the background. I'm not sure if you guys got a glimpse of him, but he is kind of off to the side. He will be involved during this animation, but we're not working with him today. What we're essentially doing, actually, I may as well give a quick description as I block the camera completely. So essentially the plan here is my Godzilla -1 character is now charging up for an atomic blast. So we're going to be working our way from the tail tip all the way up the back, replacing each individual spike with different spike replacements, where I'm sure some of you have seen. If you haven't, be sure to check that out. There is a video where I do a animation preparation, painstakingly making every single spike a replica basically twice over, because we have one that's the same size, blue, but then we have one that's slightly larger and is also blue. So everyone had to be basically made twice, but with a slightly larger duplicate. So basically this cruel looking board here has all of our tail spikes, which is basically numbered in order. So we have number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're gonna work our way entirely up the tail, replacing each individual spike, getting prepped for that charge essentially. And yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a task to say the very least, but I think I'm up for it. I'm a little disappointed that my character personally wasn't actually necessarily set for it at the beginning. So we're here now, but in my defense, I know I mentioned this in a previous stream. I'll just say it again. Godzilla -1, when I was first creating this character, the trailer number 1 came out that day, and I basically just jumped on that trend right away and made Godzilla -1. Then the second trailer came out and I'd already finished my character and I saw the spikes and I was like, well, that was really cool, and unfortunately I'm not set up for that. So we're here now, and it was a lot of work to replace every single spike. So to help put this into perspective, we're talking probably months worth of work for literally seconds. So it's a lot, but I think it'll look really cool to be in the end. And yeah, humble brag, from my research, I'm the only one that has actually attempted this so far in stop motion animation. So it'll be kind of cool. We'll see if that does well. I don't really care if it gets the most views in the world. I just think it'll look really cool. So hopefully you guys all enjoy this too. But I'm ranting on. So I got some chats here, kind of catch up on this here. Godzilla Primal Studio. Hello, thanks for tuning in, buddy. I've had some technical issues, so I think everything's actually working fairly well now, thankfully. Apparently I'm not allowed to go horizontal on my lives though, which is a little frustrating because it kind of leaves me with a limited screen, but it's what YouTube apparently recommends. Banana. Okay. Got some strange comments. I like the live. Oh, thanks Primal Studio. Or Godzilla Primal Studio, I should probably pronounce correctly. That yellow and purple dinosaur thing behind you. Oh, hey Kingzilla, thanks for tuning in. Oh, okay, that's what you're referring to, the quadruped back there. That is a monster from the Monsterverse known as Shimo. So she's kind of a newer monster. So some of you, I'm kind of surprised. A lot of you, I am well aware, already know who this character is, but it's the new kaiju from the Monsterverse, and basically it's a giant ice titan. So to kind of help fill in what's going on, I had a previous animation where Legendary Godzilla and Shimo went at it. So essentially, I'm tying that animation in with this animation with now basically Legendary Godzilla versus -1 Godzilla and perhaps a few other upcoming characters. I won't give too much more away at this point because I've instated that in the last live stream, so yeah. Oh, friends, do you remember me? Vaguely. It's been a while since I've gone live, to be honest, so, which I'm pretty sure is apparent for some of the earlier viewers where we were trying to set it up. It took almost way longer than expected, but this is so cool. Well, thank you. I admit we've so far kind of just hung out and talked, but honestly do kind of quite enjoy this part of the stream, so yeah, don't be shy to interact, guys. That's probably my favorite part, is basically sharing, you know, the enthusiasm with all these dinosaurs and monsters and various other things. So if you have any requests for monsters, dinosaurs, let me know in the chat, or if you just have a question on how to do stop motion, let me know. So yeah, hopefully I'm not ranting on too much. Shimo. Yeah, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I know I've gotten some ridicule in the past for that not being pronounced right, but Shimo the Kaiju. You can look that up. I've done a couple videos, deep dives on her, so if you want to learn more, yeah, you can always go surf around and binge. I think there's a supercut on her now available, so. But I feel like I'm ranting a little bit at this point. Take a sip of tea, and we'll continue on with our animation here, guys. So, we're going to start with the first couple frames, which is always, thankfully, the easiest. Make sure I get all my tools and stuff like that out of the way, because if we make any mistakes like that, then that's there. So, going to remove my fancy little S Pen. This is also a nice handy trick for a lot of people. I might do a slight adjustment on the camera here so we can see slightly better, and you can still kind of see me as well as what I'm doing, hopefully. Like I said, I was hoping to not be stuck vertically, but here we are. So, again, quick tip. This is the little S Pen. In this case, we're basically just using it as a camera remote. I actually have it dummied down so it's the only setting on that thing. It's obviously capable of a lot more, but I just don't want to have the option of things screwing up and then exiting out of the animation. So I just keep it plain and simple, and it's now basically a remote, but it keeps you from touching the cell phone screen repetitively, because if you do that a bunch of times, you could get some unwanted camera shake. However, there is times where you do want camera shake, which is what we were dealing with a little bit when each step was essentially taking place. Now in this case, the camera is going to be staying still pretty much the entire time. The only time I actually want this thing to move is essentially when we're working our way up the spikes. So basically you get a perfect shot of each spike basically growing in sequence. So now that we got a couple tips as well as a remote here, we can now take the easiest frames in the entire animation, which is the first ones, because you don't have to do anything. So now I've watched that animation on repeat for Godzilla -1's atomic charge. So we're going to move the tail just a little bit and just kind of vibrate that first spike ever so slightly. We don't want to do anything too important for the first, say, 4 or 6 frames, because kind of a psychological fact, I suppose. From a technical standpoint, a person who is watching it isn't going to be able to register anything that happens that fast. So yeah, here we can see all my background music. But yeah, so you don't want to do anything too important or jarring right at the beginning, because it's just not going to be essentially registered by the human being watching. So, very, very, very slow movements, especially at the start, where I'm just going to be curling up the tail ever so slightly. Now, the second procedure is going to be making a little bit of glowing before the spike essentially changes color. Now, I'm kind of wandering around looking for some blue plasticine, because I thought I had left some here for myself, but apparently not. Vampire Vinny? Vinny? Really? Vampire Vinny? Vinny's my cat's name, but hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I do apologize for anyone who, if I mispronounce your name, I do have a bit of dyslexia, so reading and writing, not exactly my strong suit, but I do appreciate you loving the stop motion. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into this stuff, so. Going to sleep, I see you on the next night. Yeah, I admit, I think I do tend to, yeah, I drink a lot of tea. I do tend to have my lives a little later, but unfortunately it's the only time I'll kind of be able to do that, so maybe on weekends I can do things sooner, but yep, okay, cool. I'm pretty sure about 99% of us are subscribed. Yeah, most of you are. Sometimes we get the odd person tuning in. We had a rando tune into the live stream last time, and it's kind of interesting. He immediately just called me out on being a nerd, which I'm like, whatever. I mean, I thought that was pretty obvious, but okay, thanks, sir. And just kind of like made a running joke with it, like, yeah, my nerd level's well over 9,000, which I'm sure a lot of you kind of understand. But yeah, I think we were able to turn things around, and basically actually ended up subscribing in the end, so not necessarily shy on poking fun of myself a little bit here. But apparently I have lost my blue chunk of plasticine clay amongst the chaos of setting things up, so We're gonna just reach back here and grab a strip of atomic blasting and just rip off a tiny little piece of there because we don't really need a whole lot. But through my research on, I'll pan things closer to me here for a second as I keep blocking that. My bad, but upon my research for this animation, watching Godzilla -1's blast on repeat, you essentially notice a small glow of blue just before the spike starts growing. So essentially, to replicate a similar effect, I'm putting just a very, very tiny strip of blue clay along the bottom part of the tail. Now, it's obviously going to be probably very hard for you guys to see because it's very small, but if you look right off in that far there, you can kind of see it, like right here. So we'll start with just a very, very small glow. Poke that spike around because we want it to rock around a little bit. And then we can take a couple more pictures. Hey, I'll try to get to you guys as much as I can, but yeah, I'll admit this one, I may or may not be as active with the chat as some of you like. I'll try my best, but this is not exactly a very easy animation to pull off here. And there's a rule of stop motion. Once you make a mistake again, there's no undo button, so don't be shy to chat amongst yourselves, but I'll take, time here and there to join in when I can. So I have to bear in mind that this is a live stream about doing stop motion, and part of me starts feeling really guilty if I'm sitting there just chatting the whole time, not actually animating. I think is a good way to kind of put that. So kind of just going through frame by frame, making sure there's nothing too jarring at the moment, apart from what we want to be jarring, which is that blue strip. So, okay. So far, so good. It's very, 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 very slow painstaking process, to say the very least. Now, I apologize for keep putting my thumb there, but like I said, this is not exactly the way I wanted to have the stream set up today. So, now that we've got 6 frames in there, we are ready to change spike number 1. So on the plate here, we got spike number 1, where we're going to start with the smallest spike of all, and then next frame, we'll be replacing it with a slightly larger one, and then jerking the tail around just a little bit. Try to respond to some of your guys' chats here without knocking down the camera. Moozilla. Is that a new nickname? Got a good ring to it, I'll admit. I probably should almost have the channel called something like that, but the channel name is a bit of an Easter egg, which I'm sure a lot of you are kind of aware about. Basically, I got into a car accident with a moose, and that's why it's called Moose Motion. So, yeah. Turning a near-death experience into a positive one, I think is a good way to put it. Does anyone have does everyone have a Zilla under the name? Yeah, I've kind of noticed a pattern with that, but that's okay. There's a lot of Godzilla fans here, myself included, so I'll admit, I kind of, this channel started off doing a bunch of not dinosaurs, but cars, which turned into dinosaurs, which then someone made a Godzilla request, and we've been kind of on that train for a number of years now. Moozilla is your new name now. Moozilla is your new name now. I'm okay with that. Yeah, cool. Moozilla. I've also kind of dubbed myself Dino Dr. Seuss, because I've gotten a lot of comments on the shorts in particular, because I like to rhyme every time. And people are like, this guy's the modern day Dr. Seuss. So, kind of tried putting a spin on that one, calling myself Dino Dr. Seuss, but that hasn't exactly taken off yet. So maybe we can get a couple going here. Moose, games do you play? Oh, gaming. I actually don't really do a whole lot of gaming anymore at all. It's all pretty much just creating in stop motion a lot of the time. I would like to get into gaming a little bit. There's a lot of cool new Dinosaur games and various other things in there, so maybe at some point if I make a return to that, we might do some streaming on gaming and stuff like that, but we'll see how that works. I can't see that being exactly the biggest thing. There's a huge competition for that in the first place, and secondly, channel's not really geared for that, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, this one is now actually doing fairly well at this particular point. There's a lot more things I would like to do in the future here, but just time is kind of the biggest constraint, unfortunately. Card Dinosaur Godzilla. Yeah, it's a weird evolutionary point that we took. See what you have to say here. Moose, is there any games that you play? Just asking. Hopefully I answered your question, but yeah, I used to be kind of big into GTA, but other than that, at this point, no. I was a try-hard on Grand Theft Auto, I'll admit, too. It was bad. Basically, I would make entire lobbies quit. I accomplished everything in the game and had nothing better to do. Yeah, we won't rant on about that too much, because, oof. The jet and the bike were my favorite vehicles, I'll put it that way. Call Ghidorah, now, Noodle Neck, Godzilla, nicknames of the Monsterverse Titans. Oh, cool, okay. Ghidorah Noodle Neck. I think that one particularly suits maybe Kevin more than anyone. Sure, a lot of you know who that is, so I would definitely, yeah, refer to Kevin as Mr. Noodle Neck from now on. That's funny. I learned something new. Hey, you do something. Mr. Vampire there, yes, I do use Stop Motion Studio. It's personally the best one you can get. There's a couple others out there, but yeah. None of them are that great, unfortunately. Not sponsored, by the way. But yes, I use Stop Motion Studio. So, answered a couple questions. Now we're going to play around with Godzilla a little bit. So we're replacing the spike. So now, I need to remove spike number 1 on the tail tip. And replace it in the exact same place as before. Now, with Stop Motion Studio, I'm sure you are well aware there, Mr. Vampire Vinny, that essentially you have the option of what's called a... what's the term? Kind of a shadow effect or a ghost effect, where you can essentially see the previous movement of the last frame. So it kind of gives you an image of what it is you're essentially working with. So you kind of see 2 photos at once, but one's just kind of a ghost layer over the other, so you know what to do. And in this case, it's going to come in handy a lot. It would be very, very difficult to not have that tool, but luckily smartphones are pretty smart for, well, certain things, obviously. Now, as I imagine, back in the day, that was not an option. And I personally do actually like to watch a lot of really old, stop motion movies. One I recently watched actually was, the original King Kong, which I actually really enjoyed. Unfortunately, small, sad fact, that was kind of the last movie that Fu and I, my pug, watched together. So, kind of has a fond memory in my heart in that regards, I suppose. You know, spending the last moments with her, cuddling, watching a movie that I enjoyed. But, it's kind of why I've avoided going live for a little bit, because of her passing, because I'm sure a lot of you... Oh no, I made a mistake already. A lot of you remember Fu. I think we'll be okay though. Nope. Oh, no. Ah! Too sidetracked. Yeah. Shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we made a mistake. So, everything has to be deleted. Okay. Reset button. I replaced the wrong spike. There's a one in the back here. That's not... We were replacing number 2. I was afraid I was going to do that. That's okay. It's early on. At least we're not like 100 some odd frames into it. We're only 7. Hello, Holly. You want to come say hi to everybody on live? Oh. Hey? We do have this puppy, though. Yes, we do. Hey, happy girl. Yeah. Come to cheer me up after that? Yeah, thank you. That kind of sucks. Oh. Thank you. Yes, I love you very much, sweet pea. Alright, so this is a painful part. Select all frames, delete. So, yeah. My bad. Ugh, slobber. So yeah, that's Holly, everybody, but yeah. Hello. Your tail's hitting the tripod, sweetie. Yeah. Yes, I know. What seems to be the malfunction? You're a brat? Okay, I think I might have to momentarily let somebody out here, so... Thanks, Dylanzilla. I appreciate that. Are you going to make Godzilla 1962 soon? I will consider that. I'll add a point to Godzilla 1962. Not sure where he is exactly on the leaderboard. I think he's about halfway. Scar King is still technically in the lead, as well as Suko, I believe. The monkeys are kind of the big request lately, I've noticed. Call Godzilla -1 G-Man. Teeny man. He is kind of small, I suppose, in comparison to some of the other Godzillas, but he is pretty powerful. He's got quite the blast capabilities. Godzilla 2024. Hey, thanks for tuning in, buddy. Oh, we got my dog moving the camera. You've been pretty good. I think, your dog screamed in the back for a second. Yeah, she's a bit of... Apparently, she's the cameraman. We'll have to let her out here in a bit, so if you guys just give me 2 shakes, I will be right back, so that way hopefully she's not as whiny. So here's a view of what we're going to be currently working on. For people just tuning in, is Godzilla -1 doing some stop motion animation, so I'll be right back. Hey sweetie, you need to go back out? Be free. And I am back. Apologize for the slight inconvenience, but kind of comes with the territory when you're live and you have a small petting zoo. So, I'm just gonna get some clips. Oh, cool. I don't think anyone's actually made clips. If there is some out there, I haven't seen it. I've seen a couple people remix some of the shorts, but never the live stream stuff, so that'd be kind of cool to see that. So if you do post that, be sure to @ me. Hey Goku, thanks for tuning in. If you could clip the dog smiling, I would really like that, actually, to be honest. Because, yeah, very hard to get her to smile on camera, I'll put it that way. She's not easy to get pictures of. Yes, 2024 Godzilla, I do remember you. A lot of people tuning in today, so that's awesome. Thanks, guys. But I did admit, I kind of screwed up here at the beginning, so we're going to make up for a little bit of lost time right now. Be periodically joining in the chat as well. And at some point, I will obviously have to let the Doug back inside, but she'll be okay for a bit. So, oops. Yeah. That's good for the iPhone. So we're going to work on replacing spike number 1 again. We had 7 frames, now we're back to 0. So remote, clip. Move our tail slightly up. Shake spike number 1. Uh-oh. Don't want to be pushing buttons on that. We've already had to reset this stream like 3 times already. Fine. You can just stay on the ground, iPhone. I don't think my iPhone likes me anymore. I'll admit. Pretty much everything I use is Android now, not sponsored. But I just personally, I prefer those devices over the Apple. I'm not a fan of their formatting. I'll put it that way. So basically, now we're back at 7 frames, kind of speeding things up here a bit. But for those that are unaware, basically Apple has a habit of restricting absolutely everything you do on the, whatchamacallit, on your videos. So essentially anything that you have in video format on photo, stop motion, video on your iPhone is now stuck in an iPhone format and is not transferable between any other devices. So I didn't know that at the beginning, and upon finding that out, I was like, okay, well, nope. Switching products, so basically everything I use is an Android now, because it's a lot more easy to work with and more cross-compatible. Hazraj. I'm in Russia. Oh, cool. Hello, comrade. That's pretty cool. I'm Canadian, eh? All your videos. Awesome. Thanks, 2004. So you're a big fan, I see. Blazy Studios. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. You're a regular person in the short comment section too. I think you were actually first today. I'm not sure if I gave you your Ricky Bobby award. Which, fun fact I kind of mentioned earlier, how this channel did start out by doing stop motion cars, but none of that stuff really ever took off. But yeah, that's kind of a evolution of what happened, I suppose. Now it's just a Ricky Bobby award. The cars are kind of just an old reference. Because obviously that's a Talladega Nights reference, right? Bit of a crude movie for maybe some of you younger viewers. Maybe not necessarily recommended for all audiences, but it is pretty funny. Okay. Luckily with me speeding along here, where I think we're just about caught up to where we were before. Probably move the tail just a little bit more than usually do. Hopefully the camera angle is not too terrible for you guys. It seems to be that most people enjoy seeing me as opposed to the actual character, so let me know what you guys prefer. But I notice every time I have a habit of panning the camera that way, people tend to tune out, so it's just kind of an odd psychological thing, I suppose. But there's probably not a lot that you can really see. I was really hoping to have, this live stream set up as horizontal, but obviously that didn't pan out. Now what I did there too is this is referred to as a rubber sculpting tool. It's just got a little silicone piece in there, and I just kind of played around with that little blue strip to kind of make it look like it's refracting and perhaps moving around a little bit more. I want more movement out of my tail. I have a bad habit of putting my tools in my mouth. Don't talk with your mouth full. Oh dear. I almost fell up my stairs letting the dog out, if that makes you feel better. It's almost more embarrassing, actually. Oh well. Luckily that wasn't on camera. Oh, okay, cool. So your dad's a big fan of the cars. That makes me happy. Sad fact about the cars. I think the only time it actually ever got a decent amount of views was when I blew it up with Godzilla, but that's okay. Robo Gojira, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the compliment, my friend. Oh, we got some Spanish people in. Unfortunately, my El Español is not as fluent as it used to be. So, I do apologize. I could maybe throw a sentence or two together, but it wouldn't be much. Hola, señora, ¿cómo estás? About as far as I'll go. However, I can speak Latin fairly fluently. So I just need to double check where my frames are. So now we're switching this one out to the blue one. The right one this time, we're not doing number 2. We've already animated. I guess that was the test. That's what it was. Did it on purpose. Now we just need to make sure that that spike essentially just goes nearly exactly where it was before, for lack of a better description. Like, it needs to be pinged right in place. Ah, stupid commercials, I can't skip you. But, oh god, okay. My desk is not big enough down here. But we want to replace that spike exactly where it was before. You can allow maybe a little bit of jank, because I noticed it kind of, when it's first developing, you can kind of see the spike jut around just ever so slightly. But not a lot. And now we're kind of focusing, because I'm not necessarily liking the way the tail is moving around. Kind of make it straight / curl in, so it kind of goes, makes a weird almost flick. Because that happens every time one of those spikes jut out. So we kind of have to really work on making sure the timing is very, very on point. What I should be technically doing is working it with sound effects. And I might crop some of those in here, because Stop Motion Studio actually did recently do an update where I'm able to actually use my sound effects on there. Before, I would have to like pre-record everything and just use the recorded sound and then delete it after. But in this case, we can actually just clip it right in. So I'll probably make that my next step before I get too far ahead of myself. Because from my personal standpoint, I like to be able to work with the sound effect a lot of the time that I'm animating, just due to the fact that, especially when you're dealing with Godzilla atomic blasts, or any charge up animation for that matter, there's a lot of sound effects going on, and each one of those like has to be timed correctly with said spike, right? So that's generally why I've adapted that habit. I do it for all my roars and just about anything that's extremely complicated. If I already know the sound bit that I'm working with, I will tend to add it in. So hopefully that helps you guys. Godzilla 1954, Dylan. I do technically have a Godzilla 1954. That is the first Godzilla we made. He's maybe not the best interpretation, but we're kind of going through a phase of restoring a lot of Godzillas. So he's the next one in line, but I'll admit, I kind of got really excited about just playing with the new Godzilla -1 setup. So that's why I just jumped right into that right away. And we're basically on the first spike, and I have the big one in place. So we're not doing too bad, but I still have a long ways to go, obviously. Godzilla Thermo. That might be coming up at some point, too. I tried doing a poll, but I don't want to mess with the live setting too much anymore because we've already had a lot of technical issues. I've already had to set it up 3 times today. But I'll just kind of throw this out there so you guys can kind of openly discuss this in the chat. Who do you think would win in a fight? I kind of already know where this, discussion's going to go, personally. But would it be Godzilla -1 or Legendary Godzilla? Now, personally, hopefully you guys are kind of on my side with this one. I'm not going to share my opinion just yet because I kind of want to see what you guys have to say. But, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. And there's already been some theories out there. I haven't done a video on that aspect yet, but we might do that at some point in the near future. But yeah, I think Thermo Godzilla might be the plan for this at the end. This is a cliffhanger. I can't die. Godzilla Primal? Is that because you are infected with the primal disease? You become an unliving dead dinosaur? It's actually one of my favorite characters on randomness. Thanks for tuning in, yo. Recognize you from comment section. I probably butchered your name, and I apologize for that. Godzilla World, Godzilla Takeover, the Lego World. I'm making Godzilla Ultimate. Oh, that'd be cool. Godzilla 2.4, aka Godzilla -1. Yeah, I mean, Godzilla -1 technically is like the modern day Godzilla from 1954. Same storyline, and for a quick like movie review, honestly, I think Godzilla -1 almost did better than the original movie. Both movies are great and both need to be watched by everybody. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have, but they did almost a better interpretation of resembling what the culture was like during that wartime, whereas the original film didn't necessarily maybe touch on that subject so much, but for obvious reasons. I think it was a really good tie-in to have in the kamikaze pilot aspect of things, so very good. The only complaint I have about Godzilla -1 as far as movie-wise goes was the shameless plugging for a sequel at the end, but at the same time too, I can't help but be excited about a sequel for that movie, so yeah, great. 2 thumbs up, 9.5 out of 10. Really good movie, highly recommended. Well, thanks for tuning in, Godzilla 2024. Thank you. Happy you could at least stop by for a little bit. We'll see you next time. We'll probably be doing some more lives. I might do one tomorrow, but I'll admit, hopefully there isn't so many technical issues. First time, that was my fault. I think I entered like the wrong stream. Second one was, I don't know what happened. Everything froze, so I had to restart, and we're just kind of here. But luckily, this one's actually done really well. Actually better than expected. So yeah, thanks guys. Your support's obviously working out pretty well. And yeah, thanks 2024 Godzilla. I will keep working hard for all of you guys. I like the remake of the first movie, Godzilla or Gojira, 1954 to 2003. This movie, yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't blame you for that one. I just think that the original... Yeah, movies like that, I think the best way to describe it without going on too much of a rant about old movies is you kind of have to prepare yourself in a different mindset. A lot of us have been obviously kind of desensitized to a certain extent on how things need to look extremely hyper realistic and stuff like that. But obviously for those time frames, they didn't have the technology that we do. And if you're able to look at it through that kind of light, where there's a lot of smoke and mirror tricks that go on during those movies, and especially when it comes to stop motion and stuff like that. So that's personally why I really enjoy them, because those guys had to work really hard to pull off all those tricks and things that you see that have become so iconic over the years. Whereas a person nowadays can kind of just, click a few buttons, not, disregarding CG in any sort of means. It's a lot of work still, obviously. But if you compare it to, say, practically doing things, I think obviously one method really outweighs the amount of work that it would be in comparison. At least from my experience. I've, again, never really played with a whole lot of CGI, so I can't really speak from that moment. But I know there's probably a lot of CGI artists out there that would probably more or less look at my stuff and go, no, I don't want to do stop motion because it takes so long. And it does. But I need to basically add in a sound clip here. So we'll time that, and I should probably let my dog in shortly because she's been out for a bit. Luckily, she's a big German Shepherd, and I live in the middle of the country, so she'll be fine. Doesn't really go anywhere. Plus, so we're gonna go to our audio section here. Theme music, recording, sound effects. I'm kind of... we don't want sound effects. Theme music? Okay. I'm gonna have to scroll away for this because there's no search bar. That's the one thing I'll admit. I'm happy that I now have access to all of the audio clips. Library? Okay, now that's where it is. But there's no search bar. And I have a ton of sound clips here. Car crash, car skid, just kind of briefly reading over them. Bunch of royalty-free music, crowd cheering, Dizzy, DJ, Dragon, Drive, Electric. There's a lot of sound effects. Evil monster laugh. No, that's not what we're looking for. I thought I saw monster. Maybe that was it. Okay, we're in the D section now. 2014 Godzilla Victory Roar. 1954 Godzilla sound effects. 2001 Godzilla Pain Roar. 2014 Godzilla Atomic Breath. Getting closer. Godzilla Atomic Breath sound effect. No change or change. Godzilla Atomic Plus sound effect. Godzilla Footstep sound effect. Godzilla Roar sound effect. Atomic Breath. Oh god, which one is it? Oh, here we go. Godzilla -1 sound effect. Full trailer version. I might have to make sure my sound isn't going to go off on this. May or may not have to mute things for a slight bit because I don't know if there's music on that sound clip, which would definitely be copyrighted. I like the remix. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Mr. Godzilla 24. Loading the internet is bad. Oh, hopefully it's not mine. I know I've had some issues with it earlier. I don't know what happened, but I like the extended talk more than normal. Okay. So I guess I'm allowed to rant a little bit. I always kind of feel guilty for ranting, I'll admit, but I guess you guys don't mind that so much. I come from a trade working background, so I'm a welder fabricator by day, and talking not allowed. And pee-pee slap. Godzilla -1 and Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla will be making an appearance at some point. Kind of gave that away, but there's a reason we named this nuclear testing. So I kind of want, I'll go on this quick little rant here before having to take a small break to let my pooch back in. Essentially, I want this to kind of be a giant movie monster fight between the Toho Godzillas and the Monsterverse monsters. So it's basically going to be an all-out monster mash where Japanese Godzillas are facing off against the American Godzillas in just a big monster fight, more or less. There's no specific story behind this animation or anything. It's just a bunch of monster fun. So yeah, there is that. But effectively, I'd like to have those two kind of tie up, team against each other. Shimo might be getting a rough end of things here, I'll admit that, but she'll be okay in the end. But yeah, Godzilla -1's got a surprise coming up pretty quick for her, where then it's just going to be Legendary facing off against these other two Godzillas. But as he's getting blasted away, I kind of have a theory on how he would react, and I'm sure some of you already made a note of that earlier on with thermo comments, so I won't give any more hints, but I'm sure if you're smart enough, you can figure it out. More Burger 8? That's an interesting name. And MSG, thanks for tuning in with the comment Godzilla. Godzilla -1. Oh, equals Shin Godzilla. Okay, so you're on that film theory aspect of things, where Shin Godzilla is essentially part of Godzilla -1. Actually, I did an entire thing on that. Well, not entire thing, but it was a bit of a mention, I believe, in one of the Shin Godzilla videos. I think it was number 2. I can't remember what part it was exactly, unfortunately, so you're gonna have to forgive me on that, but I guess you can kind of binge watch the Shin Godzilla stuff if you really want to. But yeah, I'm pretty sure what your arrows are indicating that basically Shin Godzilla is technically -1 Godzilla, and that's why at the end of that movie, spoiler alert, Godzilla -1 isn't technically dead, but you can see a chunk of his body just kind of forming away because he's not dead. And well, both seem to share a lot of similar traits. So yeah, go check out the Shin Godzilla stuff. I think there will be a supercut for that character coming out soon, but not right away. I know we got Titanus Doug supercut out, but I don't think that one's out yet. I'll have to check my video schedule and see which one's in order. I know it's coming soon, so you'll be able to binge watch all of Shin soon. I know everything on secrets. That's funny, Blaze Studio. Hopefully you can take some notes and learn because I see you make a lot of your own stop motion and claymation characters, which is awesome. I love your creations. I tune in once in a while, so yeah, keep up the good work, my friend. Take notes. Hopefully it can help you out. Godzilla Earth. Oh boy. Oh god. Void Ghidorah. That's come up as a couple requests. That's a nightmare project. I will attempt that maybe someday, but King Ghidorah, the Monsterverse version, I made one a while ago. I need to do more animations with that character. He was by far the hardest thing I've ever probably made, but very rewarding experience. And honestly, that's one thing I haven't actually seen yet for Godzilla franchise is the anime yet. I really want to see it, but I can't find like an English version. I might have to kind of sign up for my Netflix account again. I'll admit that's something I haven't had for a long time either, just because I just don't have time for it. I don't watch movies very much or anything like that. If I do, I go to the theater. Most of the time it's spent creating and content, more or less, but I'm kind of ranting on. All Godzilla movies with mix. The first Godzilla movie. That's actually a very good point there, Godzilla Primal Studio. It was a very, yeah, if there wasn't the original one, we wouldn't have Godzilla -1, I think is a very good way to put it. But I think probably, yeah, the first one definitely needs to have that certain level of respect because it was very difficult back in the time to make those movies. And fun fact to know and share, they did actually originally want to make their Godzilla a stop motion character because they really like King Kong, but they found out how much work it was going to be and basically decided to boycott that because it was going to take approximately, I think, 5 or 6 years in total to make a Godzilla stop motion movie. So, yeah. They basically upped up for the simpler version, putting a man in a suit. But we can talk about that in a bit. I need to go let my dogs quickly back in, so keep that thought, guys. I will be right back. In the meantime, yeah, just enjoy the view of the Lego City that's probably not going to be around much longer. And I'm back, and Harley is back from her potty break. But yeah, so talking about suitmation and stop motion. Basically, the original Godzilla was planned on actually being, whatchamacallit, done in stop motion, but they decided not to because it took too long, and they opt for a simpler and easier method, which was basically putting a man in a suit, which basically created suitmation. So that's why you got all of that with the miniatures and stuff, because they planned on using the miniatures for a stop motion kind of set, but yeah, things changed and they just put a man in a suit. Which leads me to people probably going to be asking, when is that animation coming out? Because I do plan on doing a bit of a Halloween special, and yeah, I know. Time. Time is a big problem, unfortunately. All friends, I always come back. Hey, all friends, thanks for coming back. Guys, man, did you see Sub-Zero movie? Oh, the Sub-Zero movie you made. No, I have not. I'll have to check that out. I thought you were referring, as I think there's a movie title out there like that, where it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic and the world's freezing over. Copy paste con into monkey. Is that? I think you got a little emoji there, but it's hard for me to kind of see on the laptop. Are you going to impact regards into, if so, how will you? Are you going to take -1? Oh, okay. Am I going to incapacitate Godzilla -1 in regards to the video? Incapacitate him? No, I think he's going to be doing fairly well for the most part there. Hopefully that answers your question. Shimo is probably not going to have a very good day. But Godzilla -1, or Legendary Godzilla, not Godzilla -1. Godzilla, Legendary Godzilla has a habit of absorbing radiation. So I don't think maybe hitting him with a blast is going to be a very good idea. Because I would think he would just kind of feed off that. Shameless kind of foreshadow there, I suppose, in a way. Shimo needs to... neck. Oh, Shimo needs a neck remodel because Shimo has short neck. Yeah, I kind of made it a little longer for purposes so it's easier to animate with, so that way I could get a little bit more motion out of it. I'll admit I beefed up Legendary Godzilla a little bit recently on his redo, and that was almost a mistake to a certain degree. He is very hard to move around now. Still workable, but it's something I generally kind of have to bear in mind with. I have to be careful with how much chunk I add, because then it just becomes really hard to move. Legs are a bit of a very difficult problem. Walking animations are not easy. I mean, in a sense it does, because there's so much weight at the bottom that you don't have to worry about your character being necessarily unstable, I think is a good way to put it, but the flexibility is the big factor that's affected, and it can be a real struggle to try and get your joints to move around, and that's not necessarily a fun thing to deal with when you're pushing the joints and you're fighting that, right? So it's a win-lose situation, I think is a good way to put it. Godzilla Earth. Oh, copy. What is that? Is that a spider? Interesting. I love watching you create. Thanks, Blaze, man. That's, or Blaze Z Studio, sorry, not Blaze Man. I appreciate that. A lot of creative goes into this. Give Shimu, Nekrima. Yeah, okay, we went through that. I know her neck's too short. Okay. So we're gonna continue with a little bit of animating here. I'm playing with sound effects now. Gonna have to make sure that the background music continues because I don't know what kind of music's gonna be on here because this may or may not necessarily be a safe sound clip. It should be, but just in case, I'm gonna have maybe my royalty-free audio library music provided in the post description below available for everybody just a little bit louder than usual so you can't actually maybe hear what I can hear necessarily on the cell phone because I don't want any Godzilla music. Well, that was a roar, so that's not the right sound clip. So, back to the sound library, everybody. You can delete this one, and then we go plus. Stop Motion Studio, the very unlikelihood that you are watching, please add a search bar into the sound effects area. That is something you've been neglecting for a very long time, and I wish it was there, because I have to scroll through every single one, and I don't like that. Okay. Audio. Library. Luckily, I can scroll all the way down. Okay, we're back to the Godzilla footstep, the Godzilla roar, -1 roar. Godzilla versus Kong. It's a Kong roar. Godzilla X Kong, New Empire roar. Godzilla glowing sound. I don't know what that is. Probably kind of a Godzilla theme. Okay. That's a song. That's got copyright written all over it. Can't use that. Probably edited that one with a couple of my Facebook videos. I do actually have like a Facebook page as well as Instagram, and I think those are actually pasted in the post description. So if you want more, be sure to check out my other social media links where you can get more, well, Godzilla, Monsterverse, and all kinds of different kinds of fun. Scanning through here, sorry if I butchered that sentence. But we got King Ghidorah roar, King Kong, Legendary Godzilla roar, MP3, let them fight. I know what that sound clip is. Let them fight. That was snuck into the Godzilla versus Shimo right at the beginning before Godzilla charges. Shimo freeze ray, Godzilla atomic breath scene. That's Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla, Shin Godzilla. God, I am sorry, guys, for having to kind of scroll through all this painfully, but that kind of brings me to my earlier statement. Audio, or not audio library. Stop Motion Studio, not sponsored. Please add a search bar. Yeah, there isn't one. God, okay. I have to try and make a guess on what one's the right one, right? That's fun. Punch sound effect. Rock music. Power up sound effect. No, I need that one at some point, but not right now. Minecraft eating. Metal breaking. Man at work. That's my ringtone. Who can it be now? Legendary Godzilla. Let them play Legendary Godzilla. Legendary Godzilla. King Kong. King Ghidorah. Happy Life. God, there's so many things. Godzilla -1 roar. Godzilla roar sound effects trailer. Okay, Godzilla -1 roar sound effect and atomic breath. This is a very long sound clip and obviously is going to need some editing. Yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a bit of a library into the amount of sound and work that goes into this, because usually upon a lot of the animations I do, there's literally almost 100 sound effects sometimes, if not more. But There's obviously no sound when you're doing any sort of stop motion. It's all quiet, so every little thing has to be added in. At least that's the way I feel about it. Some lizard, go bah. Big radioactive lizard, yeah. I really like the sequence for Godzilla -1, honestly. I think it's probably one of the coolest blasts out there. U equals Stonehenge and wine. That's an interesting observation, Mr. Godzilla Earth. And Void Ghidorah, Kev, official. How's that name? Whew. I definitely know you're a fan of the anime, which I'm jealous. I haven't seen the anime yet. I know I mentioned it earlier. I'll have to dig up a copy in English at some point in my life. I'm gonna make a stop motion after the live. Okay, cool, yeah. Take some pictures away, I do say. What do you plan on doing for your stop motion there, Mr. Godzilla Primal Studio? Blazy Studio, when are you planning to use King Ghidorah? I plan on using King Ghidorah mainly for the... whatchamacallit, Godzilla Primal Zombie Dinosaur War that I basically kind of was hoping that I was going to be doing the next animation for with all of these Godzilla restoration videos, but yeah, got sidetracked. Was going to be too cool to play with -1, so I decided I was just going to jump into that and do an atomic blast animation, test animation, which turned into a lot more obviously at this point, but King Ghidorah will be involved in the next one, which I plan on making a bigger series out of because that's the one viral video that we've gotten so far where Godzilla -1 fights off the primal zombie dinosaur, and basically I have an entire narrative where King Ghidorah is going to be probably one of the main antagonists, so yeah, stay tuned for that. That's something I'm honestly really looking forward to doing. This isn't my full-time job yet, obviously, so yeah. Maybe one day we'll get there and then I can do a lot more, but for the time being, we'll work with what we can do. So now I'm just kind of listening through the sound clip here, waiting for where I need in the editing. If this is the one that I actually want. I think it is, but... sounds like a mix of a lion and a tiger for that. Is this actually gonna have what I was labeled? I'm gonna take a educated guess. I think the charge one's here next. There we go. And that's the sound clip we are looking for. So now I'm just slightly editing the timing here, which is not easy. Because I want to have it basically where that noise is right where that spike is jutting out where we have it now. And then essentially I can proceed with my normal animation, because then I can just basically play the video on loop over and over again with that sound bite, and I know exactly when I need to make each spike grow and or change color, essentially. So my word of advice for people, if you already know what sound effect you're going to be using, if you don't, find it and then work with it, because it makes your animation a lot easier to time with the sound. You might not always have that as an option, but it just, yeah. Personally, makes a big difference. For me, it makes your difficult life doing this stuff already just a little easier. Now for the amount of time that I've spent ranting on. Tail did slightly fall down, but we'll just bump it into position again. Take a couple more frames. That's a... not an S pen. There's an S pen. And I need to edit that sound bite just a little bit more. Oops. Might be actually handy to use the S Pen for this. Stay alive, laptop. Yeah, it's getting a little late here too, so I appreciate you for sticking around so long, Mr. Blazy Studio. We'll probably be ending things fairly shortly here, but yeah, not too much longer. Oh wow, you work fast doing your stop motion. I'm really slow. You got a lot of sound effects going on in the background there. But gives you an idea of, yeah. I think we got a good premise of how I do things here. When are you planning on using... okay, cool. Red Hood, thanks for tuning in, and triple thumbs up. Now, do a little bit more adjusting. Oops. Too much adjusting. Now, this is a slightly annoying part. Their editing for sound isn't the greatest here either. I'll admit, I prefer it on the other apps. I think we got it now, though. So, now that we have that spike extended fully, we can add just ever slightly amount of smoke. Or, in this case, old doggy stuffy toys. That was too much. So, that's another fun stop motion fact, I guess, for you guys. Always save your... if you have dogs, save their toys' guts. Works very well for smoke. It can be slightly difficult to kind of get into a good position to where it actually looks like that. But once you kind of get it on there, the nice part about this stuff, it does kind of just stick to itself. So you can kind of get away with it floating and getting all crazy. It doesn't necessarily need to look neat, so to speak. Alright, and I want the tail to jerk back to kind of its original place, so it kind of does again like we instated earlier, because when it sticks out, it kind of goes in and then back out, like it's reacting to that more or less push. Kind of gets a little floppy motion, for lack of a better description. We got the tip part, but we want it to affect the whole tail a little bit more, so we're just going to bump that up. Okay, there we go. And we'll snap a couple frames and we're going to play things again just to make sure our timing is perfect for that spike where it goes boom. Haha, there we go. Cool. So now we have effectively, if you count the 7 frames that I've deleted, we've gotten 1 second of stop motion so far. Technically only half a second. It's gonna be a late night. Shit. I don't plan on necessarily doing the entire tail length tonight, because I would kind of like to play around with Titanus Doug a little bit next animation where he's just kind of going, because it'd be funny. And Titanus Doug, I kind of want to have as a bit of a comic relief for the most part for my characters. So, yeah. I think that pretty much, unfortunately, kind of concludes today's live stream. So we're going to just kind of wrap things up at this point. So if you got any requests for a stop motion monster or questions, now's a good time to ask them before we tune out. Do apologize again for all the technical issues that we have had, and I appreciate all of you for sticking around for all of that, because yeah, this was kind of a hectic one. Didn't work out as planned, but turned out to be a fairly popular stream. So yeah, again, thank you guys for sticking around and all the support. Be sure to smash that like button, comment below, and chat away. I do say subscribe if you're new, and all that other self-promotion jazz. I'm gonna make some I'm putting in 9. I'm getting it. I've pulled up Claymation Gloves. That's an interesting name. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Pulled up. But my phone is low. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I think a lot of people actually kind of, when I go live, have a tendency to be doing their own animations. Is kind of something I've learned, which I found is kind of interesting. Kind of makes me feel pretty good, honestly, to a certain extent, that there's like a community of people all joining together, kind of doing more or less, a bunch of stop motions all together. Maybe at some point I'll have to pick somebody here, and maybe we can do a collaboration at some point and stream together, and you can stream your stop motion project while I stream mine, and we can openly discuss techniques and methods and all kinds of other nerdy film subjects. That would actually be kind of a lot of fun. Maybe we can do that in the near future. But yeah, awesome. But quick tip for you for your low battery issues. When I'm animating, my phone is always plugged in. Always. Because I've had that problem before where, unfortunately, say your battery starts getting low and then you have to really rush things through or cancel it so you don't essentially lose everything that you've done. Because yeah, I'm sure it's happened to a few of us on this before. But either way, yeah. I always have my phone plugged in, mainly because there's a few different options on this phone in particular where if you have things plugged in, it technically never shuts off. So it's got this like producer mode or something like that you essentially kind of have to unlock through your settings. So if you play around on certain Samsung devices, you can unlock the ability for the screen to basically never shut off or lose focus, which was another problem with my iPhone. I could never actually get it to fully do that. It would always be stuck on a timer and I would have it maxed out, but I would always have to set a timer on my tablet when walking away from my animation set to make sure that I didn't spend too much time away, because then the phone would shut off and you get unnecessary flicker at that point, because then the camera basically resets and has to find a new focal point, and things are always just going to be slightly different at that point, especially when you're dealing with miniatures. So yeah, my recommendation, make sure your phone's in a stable, controlled environment with the lighting, always plugged in, and that way you have a setting there too so your screen never shuts off, because it just makes your life a lot easier. Hopefully that helps. Godzilla, I think you've been here most of the time. I mean, you're probably tuning in and out, but unfortunately, yeah, things are getting late. I would love to stay on, but I do have to wake up in the morning. So Okay, one long. You got one long cord there, my friend. Yeah, this is very long, actually, to help put things into perspective. Like, it starts up here, it goes all the way down here, and we got probably at least another 2 or 3 feet down there. It's the cord that I got basically just for actual stop motion. It's only for charging basically devices in the studio, more or less. I have a couple different charging stations in my house at this point. There's one in the middle ground, there's one in my bedroom, and then there's the stop motion studio one. So have multiple chargers. Always have it plugged in. Just makes your life easier. Might not, in retrospect, might not necessarily be good for battery longevity for your cell phone device. So if you are able to time things in a good manner where you don't have to walk away from it so much, I would recommend that for your battery or device. But in my case, it's just like, you know what, stop motion's already hard as is. And the only real reason I buy fancy cell phones at this point is for stop motion, so it can deal with the punishment as far as I'm concerned. Personally on my cord. Okay. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I just, plugging it in, kind of not having it plugged in all the time. I just like the feature that this cell phone has because, again, it doesn't shut off. It'll just stay focused on that object the entire time it's on when it's plugged in. I think the timer is set for 30 minutes, but I just kind of went, no, it just stays on. So that's just the way I like to do things, but we all have our own method. The reason I generally avoid not having it not plugged in, that sounded weird, but the reason I avoid not having it plugged in, or how do I put this? The reason I avoid making sure it's not, or it's always plugged, okay, let me start over. The reason I have it plugged in the entire time is because even when you're plugging your cell phone back in, you have the potential of moving things around. And if I don't want the camera to move, I don't want it to move, so I just plug it in right at the beginning, so that way I'm not going to get that unnecessary camera shake. However, there has been a few times in my stop motion endeavors where I've literally actually forgot about that, but there was some camera shake going on at a particular scene, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just wait to plug my phone in then, and if I shake it, it doesn't matter. That's just part of the animation. So there is that. If you have camera shake, plug it in then. But I just avoid that. I don't want to move the camera. I don't want to start over. We already had to do that today with the streams and the stop motion, so it's been a lot of resets. I personally 12:20 p.m. Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, it is like 10:30 p.m. almost where I'm from. So yeah, you must be on the opposite side of the world, Mr. Godzilla Primal Studios. I'm Canadian, eh? If you can't tell by the hat. I usually move my camera if we want to do a real action scene. Yeah, that makes sense. My camera generally does move around a lot, but I just don't want it to move unnecessarily because when you're... This is just, again, me personally. I always just get a little bit nervous when you're having to have the camera interact with things because it can get very janky really quick, and you do have to be very careful and very precise with the camera moving around. At least my personal experience, yes. If things are, say, in an action sequence, I could see it not necessarily needing to be as precise, and it can just be a little bit more fast-paced and moving around quick with a lot of camera shake, and that would probably help sell the effect at that point to a certain degree. It all depends on what you want, but I'm just, yeah, like very, very, I like very smooth and very fine techniques. It's just the way I kind of am with this stuff. So like, most I'll probably ever move my camera is maybe like 1/4 inch to 3/4 of an inch at a time. Not a lot. And most of the time, it's not even that much. That's on the extreme aspect of things. The only time I've done maybe more is when I'm, say, filming a car in the past, I used to do a lot of car animations, and as the car obviously speeds up in acceleration, you obviously want the camera to follow it, and the camera can get moving quite a few inches at that point. But again, that's suitable for what you're doing, right? So it all depends on what you're doing. I just personally, for the most part, like to have very steady and smooth camera motions. But yeah, it's quite awesome. I love being able to nerd out with a bunch of stop motion stuff and Godzillas and dinosaurs. So yeah, I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in today. So I think this is unfortunately going to be the end of the stream because I still kind of have a lot of work ahead of me. It's going to be a late night, so be sure to tune in tomorrow. I may or may not be live. I'm hoping I will be, with less mistakes and less technical errors. So yeah, again, apologize for all that. I appreciate everyone's patience, and hopefully I'll see you next time. If not, be sure to tune in, well, tomorrow, because it'll be a daily short and you'll see how far I was able to progress tonight. So anyway, that's enough from me. Till next time, take it easy. Have fun, guys.